Hello, Nope Coach listeners. It's Suzanne Kohlberg. Thank you for joining me for episode 98, Glass and Rubber Balls. So there was a speech a number of years ago by, I think it was the Coca-Cola CEO, and he spoke about the whole speech. If you want to look it up, it's called The Five Balls of Life. And he speaks about work, family, health, friends, and spirit. And he says that work is a rubber ball. If you drop it, it will bounce back. But the other balls, family, health, friends, and spirit, are glass. So if you drop those, they can be damaged. It could be a scuff, but it could be a nick, or it could be shattered. Like it will never be the same. And I think this is something to consider when we're striving for the elusive work-life balance. Sometimes something's got to give. And when you look at the thing that you're about to drop, is it a glass ball or is it a rubber ball? Because most things that we really give a lot of our attention to, like work, oh, this is so important, it's rubber. We could drop it and it could bounce. Whereas if it's like a relationship, a connection with your child, just 5 more minutes, or I can't do this mummy sort of work, this meeting is important. And then we miss out on something that we don't get another chance to again. And in a lot of the coaching work I do with people, we work on different tools, journaling, mindset, diving deep. And we work on, like, I don't like the term schedule, but, finding this elusive work-life balance. And so many people don't have any time for self-care, for everything else gets done, but they're stretching, like yoga or stretching or moving of the body, exercise, their journaling, their connection time, all this stuff, like their time to work on self, like to listen to the modules or, to come to the coaching calls, that's the first thing to get dropped. And I'm not saying that any of these things are necessarily glass, but we're dropping them for the things that are rubber. And we're wondering why so many of us end up burnt out or exhausted or, unable to cope because we haven't made time for ourselves. And sometimes we tell ourselves we are making time for ourselves. Like, I've bought the thing, I bought the program, I invested in a coach, or I bought a gym membership, or I've hired a personal trainer. But then that's only part of the piece. The next part is turning up and doing it, doing the sessions, doing the work, going through. And it's often very, very uncomfortable. But it's finding, why are we spending so much of our time prioritizing the rubber balls, the work, the things that can bounce back, at the expense of the relationships and the connections and the things that can't? And it's just something to consider when, it also reminds me of that grid. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like, things are important and urgent, important but not urgent, and how we tend to put off the things that aren't urgent. And then we wonder why we're living our life perpetually putting out fires and not actually making any progress on the things that we want to do in the long term. And it's just something to consider, like, in the moment, does this email need to be responded to right now? Because that's what often happens. It's like, oh, I will sit down and do my journaling or, my work on myself, but I'll just check my email first. And then your email is actually someone else's to-do list and priority, not your own. And we get caught up being responsive to everybody else, and the gym goes unattended, and the treadmill becomes an expensive clothes horse, and the journals become empty, and we're just always going on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So I encourage you to, next time that you have planned to do something for yourself and then someone else's important thing comes in and you're like, oh, I'm just going to respond to this email, or I'm just going to finish off this task, or I'm just going to, going to bed early is another one. How many people stay up late working way beyond when they had planned to finish, and just one more thing, just one more task, just one more thing. And then eventually the body can't cope running on that little sleep, and we approach burnout. So just have a think in your life, what things that you're doing are glass and what things are you doing are rubber, and how many times do you have to drop something and have it be nicked and scuffed and marked until eventually it becomes shattered? Because what's that other saying, the straw that breaks the camel's back? Sometimes we think, oh, they didn't mind, they didn't mind, like if you keep flaking on someone or keep turning up late. But one time you might find that that was the last time, and then you don't have that friend or that connection in your life anymore, because that glass ball has indeed shattered on this time. So it might not shatter the first time or the 5th or the 10th, but sometimes it does. And then we realize, how much we let them down. Something to think about. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope to see you on the next one. Bye for now.